9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thank you, viewers, for tuning into the L. Henderson Real News Show. Today we have a specialist with us, a community activist, a political commentator. We have a religious participant that has a history of working with preachers and being what we call a good member in the church. We also have a talk show host, one of the leaders of Respect Your Black Dollar, and he is with us today, Brother Demese. Brother Demese, I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you, before we get into the meat of this show,
Yes, sir.
I heard you and some of your guests last night on your Respect Your Black Dollar show, talking about the potential candidates and maybe one of the presidents that's going to be ruling in America. And you took a position that this wonderful citizen might have not been doing the right thing because he has not talked to the candidate, has not received anything from her or him, and you say he was wrong about it. Now, why are you saying certain people that are supporting candidates are not doing the right thing if they don't talk to them first and make them promise them something and put it in writing?
Well, you know, first of all, it's an honor to be here once again on the L. Henderson Show. I appreciate the work that you do with Action Leadership Institute, Changing Lives Unlimited, and your 30, 60 to 90-day challenge, that if a person comes in, has a problem, and comes and sit with you, then you can help them order their steps over a 30, 60, 90-day period towards a solution. I want to thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
We also need to adopt a similar strategy with politics. Unfortunately, many people prefer blind leadership or blind followership as it relates to candidates, and that's just a foolish proposition to take.
Okay, Brother Demese.
Yes.
Why is this foolish? Now, look at the history of certain people and politicians. They love their politicians.
Right.
They want to be promised something real good.
Right.
You want to hear that I'm going to find jobs for you.
Right.
I'm going to fix your streets.
Right.
Now, what's wrong with that for a politician to tell people they're going to do that every 3.5 years?
Yeah, it's good. There's nothing wrong with being told that if you're going to do it. And of course, they're going to play to what you want to hear. They're selling something to you so that they can get something. And just like any good salesman, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to titillate your fancy in order to get their way.
Now, I'm about solutions.
Right.
What is solution then to that problem where the politicians telling the so-called voter certain things and it's not going to happen? Give us your solution to how to resolve this interchange that's negative between the politician and the potential voter.
Well, the first thing is the same as all things. You have to start from the inside out, okay? So the first thing you have to do is make up your mind what it is you want. And you have to start with yourself, because you can't control them, but you can control yourself. If you could control the economics of your community, regardless of which race you are or are not, and then build a infrastructure in terms of the businesses that supply the needs of your people and also some of the wants as well, then you're in a much better position to leverage with a politician than if you have not done those things. So if you haven't done those things, the first thing you want to do is shore up home base and get that straight, which is the controlling the economics of your community and building a business infrastructure by which you can supply all of your needs and many of your wants.
Okay.
That's the first thing, but that's not the only thing.
Okay, that's the first thing, the
Right.
other thing. But before we get to the other things, sir, let's look at this idea that folks say, we have businesses in the community. We don't need any more businesses. Are you saying that we need to forget about, not participate in the growth of the current businesses in our community and start our own businesses? Or what are you saying?
I'm saying that A, start with what you have, B, work towards what you want. But before you can do any of that, you need to figure out what direction you want to go in. See, it all starts with the mind. And you know, we just getting out of Black History Month with Carter G. Woodson talking about the miseducation of the Negro. And I could go into Tim Burrell's Brainwash. I could go into Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, Colonizing the Colonized by Albert Memmi. I could talk about Wretched to Earth and Frantz Fanon with Black Skin, White Mask. I could talk about all these books that deal with the black mind, right? But, you know, most people ain't going to read them. And they in leadership, so as a result of not reading those books or being acquainted with that information, they can't do nothing but lead our people in circles. That's why they don't have an economic agenda for our people.
Well, Brother David, it appears that you are saying that our people have messed up minds. They have been confused and that they are headed in the wrong direction.
Bamboozled and brainwashed.
You believe that, sir?
I don't believe it, I know it.
Give me some examples then to prove it.
Okay, we pay more attention to hair and the cars we drive and the clothes we wear than to being independent, than to being free. We are much more concerned with things that titillate us than things that will free us from our dependent state in terms of education, health and wellness, economics, and we could go down the list in terms of what that would be. Now, I'm not making this up, and I'm not proud to say this, but the information is clear. If you do not have sovereignty or control over all of the needs as it relates to economics, education, entertainment, law, labor, politics, religion, sex, and war, all of the needs and many of the desires as it relates to those 9 areas of people activity, then you are probably under the domination of someone else and dependent upon them. As long as you're dependent upon the head that puts you in the ghetto to get out of the ghetto, you're going to stay in the ghetto. And that's a requote of Carter G. Woodson.
You don't say. Well, let me tell you this, Brother David. It appears to me that you are saying that people have controllers that are managing those 9 areas of
people activity. That's right.
That's right. We call it people activity.
Right.
Now, are these certain groups of people? Who are these folks that controlling all of these 9?
Well, on this planet, in this period of time, you're talking about white supremacy, with its racism and white supremacy. You can deal with the work of Neely Fuller and our recently deceased elder Dr. Francis Cress Welsing for more information on this. But because each one of those areas of people activity has institutions, and each one of those institutions promote and protect the status quo. So if you're in with religion, then you have to be very careful, because in religion you might be worshiping your oppressor, and nobody who's mentally healthy worships their oppressor.
Well, I don't want to get in religion right now. I want to get
but religion is very, very connected to producing solutions to our problems.
That's right, but I want to get some solution on these politicians. Now, you are here accusing the people that are dominating and putting other people in what I call a state of depression and confusion. You are alluding to the fact that these folks are racist, they are white supremacists, they believe in people domination and oppression, but you don't tell me who these people are.
Well, there's not a candidate that's on the shelf right now that's running in terms of the mainstream presidential election. Each one of them is a white supremacist. Each one of them has a past history of racist views and perspectives, and in their voting record as well. This is clear. I'm not making this stuff up.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, you're off base now.
No, I'm not.
Because the people that I talk to are saying it's time for a female president in America, and all the folks that I talk to, except on one occasion, and that was about a month ago, saying this person that's running for president, the female candidate with the Democratic Party, is better than any candidate in either party, Republican or Democrat, and will do more for the so-called minorities than anyone else because of her past history,
so I want to know is, where does she stand on reparations? If you couldn't get it from Obama, why do you think you're going to get it from her? All of the people that are stumping for this candidate or any other candidate, because I don't want to pick on a candidate, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the political process as a whole and our approach to it, the mental approach to the political process. I want to be very clear about that. But do you have a 10-point agenda that lays out the interests of your community and the needs of your community? Do you have that to present to your candidate? Have you met with the other leaders or so-called leaders in your community to develop that 10-point list?
Wait, I'm going to tell you, the people I've been talking to say they don't have a list.
I know they don't.
They have faith that these candidates are going to do something for them. They haven't met with them.
And what is it? What if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? What do they call that?
Well, I want to say it's called foolish.
Yeah.
It's something else, but it's foolish.
Yes.
For this show.
Right. I'm not making this stuff up.
I know you're not.
Okay. Laswell says that politics is the process or the methodology by which who gets what, when, and how. All right. And so politics, in essence, and people won't teach you what I'm about to say. Now, either they're dumb or they're holding out information, or I'm very, very smart. I think that they're holding out information, but in many cases also ignorant. Economics deals with the distribution of resources. You don't need any money for economics. Finances is a component of economics, but not the totality of economics. In other words, money, how you count money, how you manage money, is not the totality of economics. So you can be very, very good at taxes. You can be very, very good at doing money with the bank. You can have balanced your checkbook. That's not economics. That's a component of economics, not the totality of economics. And politics is the management system for your economics, which is the distribution of your resources. Now, if you really want to understand what I'm saying, you have to probably go back to a farm or an agrarian lifestyle. You don't have to have any money if you got okra and tomatoes on your land, somebody else has sweet potatoes on their land, somebody else butchers hogs or does cows, somebody else does wheat and corn, and somebody else does something else, right? And somebody else refines and mines this stuff and whatnot, right? Well, you don't have to have any money to say, I have something that you want, you have something I want, and we're going to exchange it. And that economy, folks won't be stealing to no great degree. They won't be killing to no great degree, and everybody can be poor because everybody's going to work together and spread the wealth. And once you get larger than that community, you need a politician or someone who's devoted their time towards the interests of the whole. And that person represents the interests of the whole. What I want to know, if you're stumping for a candidate, have you brought your 10-point agenda that includes something from the sweet potato grower, that includes something from the man who does the cows and the pigs, that includes something from the one who does the wheat and the corn? Do you have everybody's interest that you've had a meeting with? And then make that 10-point agenda, then bring that 10-point agenda to the candidate behind closed doors before you stump for them? Or do you have that 10-point agenda waiting for them once you get behind closed doors? If you haven't been behind closed doors to meet with them, you haven't met with your people first and found out what they want and need, then you're playing games with yourself unless you're getting paid.
Okay. You're saying the people that are doing that are using what we call inappropriate behavior.
Inappropriate behavior.
They're promoting the status quo.
Yes.
Or they are considered paid Uncle Toms.
Well, everybody gets paid. Everybody is not selling out. Some people are selling up. And there's a difference between selling out and selling up, all right? So I'm not mad at the folks that are selling up, all right? I'm not mad at the people for selling up. It's when you sell out that causes me the problem.
Okay.
All right? A person who sells up will put themselves in a position to benefit other people. Not only me, my four, and no more in my family, but also a larger group of people that goes into other generations. People that sell out, on the other hand, oftentimes do so at the expense of the total group, as opposed to promote the interests of the total group. And one primary example I can use is Booker T. Washington.
Okay.
Booker T. Washington was an Uncle Tom, but he was a strategic Uncle Tom.
Okay, Brother David, you're getting ready to get on some bad ground.
No, I love Booker T. Washington.
We're going to come back in a few minutes, and I want to see why you call in the beloved Booker T. Washington an Uncle Tom. And I'm going to tell you who is not an Uncle Tom, is his opponent that was fighting with him all the time, old Du Bois. Now, if you don't like him and you don't like Booker T. Washington, you have a problem. So we're going to have to clear this thing up when we come back.
Yes, sir.
So viewers, stay tuned. We're going to come back with part 2, and Brother David is going to solve these problems and see who was correct, Booker T. Washington or Du Bois. I don't have an opinion. David is the expert. So David, are you ready to really give us some problem-solving solutions when we return?
Yes, sir.
Viewers, stay with us for part 2. Thank you very much. David, I tell you, we are going with the last 13 minutes in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And we are ready to do that right now.
All right.
Once you thank him and go there, you can't come back. Don't come back.
That's right. I done heard that before many times, man, but I forget about that. Man, I get excited. But keep on telling me. Some old folks that be whipped all the time. He's like a bad child. That boy just won't do right.
Just won't do it.
Stop.
He just won't stop kicking
drinking.
The metal.
That's right. That's right. Now you accuse me of kicking the metal. I'm always
see, that's right. Hit your shoe on that. See that with that hard sole.
Yeah, he's right by that darn thing.
Well, it's not just that. It's just picking it up.
All right. Well, we're going to have to get away from it. All right, well, that's a fast 13 minutes there. Now we want to talk about, I'm not going to get into what I want to talk about.
I can get that to come up.
What?
I can get that to come up.
What, this executive order?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go slow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
9, 8, 7, 6.
Well, I'm going to lead you in that direction, and then you hit this executive order.
What's wrong? Doc's picking up on mine?
And then
Pick it up on his.
pick it up on what?
Bleeding over.
Mm-hmm. Bleeding over, okay. You bringing faulty equipment up in here, sir?
He's fixing it. We come back in, W.B. Du Bois, and
Booker T.
then I'm gonna transition. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
2, 3, 4. What was Du Bois' first name?
W.E.B.
All right, you ready, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we come. Engine rolling. You're in the black. Coming to you in 3, 2, straight into the camera. Welcome your guests back. Go.
Welcome back, viewers. We're going to continue with David Measy. He is an expert on economics, religion, and politics. David, I'm glad to have you with us. Now, you are about to criticize, I hope in a positive manner, two of the greatest black educators and leaders in the history of the world, Booker T. Washington and W.E. Du Bois.
That's right.
You're accusing some of the people's favorite man, Booker T. Washington, as being a certified Uncle Tom. Now, why are you saying that about that man?
Well, first, I don't claim to be an expert on hardly anything except being a student that needs to learn much more. But I will say this, Booker T. Washington was and is a certified Uncle Tom. But to his credit, he was a strategic Uncle Tom. What do I mean by that? He recognized his powerlessness in the system that he operated in, worked it towards his advantage where he could benefit a whole several generations of other people. To his credit, he was an institution builder, and most institution builders are a bit conservative. But through his conservatism, he was trying to get black people into ownership, servitude for ownership. He was moving black people from dependency to interdependency to independence through economics. He understood economics as being the foundation for all other things. Now, W.B. Du Bois, on the other hand, was a little bit more ignorant, very intelligent, the greatest intellectual ever produced by America, regardless of color, bar none, whose research is still used to this day. W.B. Du Bois I'm talking about.
Right.
But W.B. Du Bois was accused critically by his critics of that day for not being able to come up with an original idea because he had so much learning that he had learned away from his own self. The greatest detractors of Booker T. Washington were not W.B. Du Bois, who spent most of his life working for other people, by the way. It was William Monroe Trotter and Ida B. Wells. And William Monroe Trotter used to bring it to Booker T. Washington for his accommodationalism. Unfortunately, many of them did not live in the parts of the South that Booker T did, so their reality was different.
All right. Now, Du Bois was considered a great man because
still
his
is
talented 10th theory.
Yes. And
now, what was wrong with that?
He discounted his own talented 10th theory. In Dusk to Dawn, W.B. Du Bois discounted his own talented 10th theory. Why? Because 8 out of 10 who came back, supposed to serve the black community, came back with an education from white supremacy to exploit the black community. And as a result, they were not doing what they were supposed to do according to his ideal of what the model was. And that's why later in life, W.B. Du Bois, one of the greatest sociologists that black America have ever produced, and white America for that matter, have ever produced, one of the greatest scholars, the greatest intellect that white America has ever, and white America or black America has ever produced, W.B. Du Bois, he came around to being a Pan-Africanist. He came around towards adopting Garvey's methods, who he helped get kicked out of the country. He came around to understanding the need for industrial education and cultivating the responsibility of ownership, like Booker T. Washington. He came around, to his credit. He lived long enough, he saw enough, and he corrected his errors from the past. And I want to give credit to all of them, but we should examine them in full, not in part.
Okay, well, I tell you, you are making some serious allegations here. You are telling me that the talented tenth theory, where the so-called upper crust blacks would attend these so-called number one white colleges throughout the nation during his period, got all their good education in economics, law, science, teaching, in the ministry, that it was totally not good for the black masses, even though they were the sharpest and most intellectual people in the community. You were saying that was waste of time, and Booker T. Washington taught people how to start their own businesses, how to be printers, how to be upholsterers, how to make clocks,
right,
how to do carpentry, plumbing.
Right. And
Booker T. had to be condemned. Yes. As a negative Uncle Tom,
as
and now
to a strategic Uncle
that's
Tom.
Right. And now you're saying he's a great man because he was a strategic Uncle Tom.
Well, mind you, he was great whether you. Booker T. Washington is great whether you love him or hate him. He was great in his own day, and he's great today. Whether you love him or hate him is irrelevant to his greatness. Same thing with W.B. Du Bois. Same thing with William Monroe Trotter and Ida B. Wells, who we can't give enough praise to all of these folks. But the point I'm getting at is something greater. And you can find this information in Race First by Tony Martin. You can find this information in Destruction of Black Civilization. You can find this information in a multitude of sources by reading the biographies of these people. J.A. Rogers wrote 100 Greatest Black Men, and he has men and women that are black that accomplished great things. If you want to find this information, it's out there. But my point is this. If you don't understand the foundation you stand on and understand the need for economics to be the foundation of politics, because money is the mother's milk of politics. Economics is the mother's milk of politics. No politics without economics. No politics without the finance. Now, if you don't understand that, then you'll go to a candidate and say, I'm going to support you, without understanding what it is that candidate stands for, and you won't be demanding anything of them for your support. They need you more than you need them, and you should never forget that, regardless of who the politician is or is not. And when we do, we're playing games with ourselves, Doc. We're playing games with ourselves. That's why they got these executive orders around the corner.
Wait a minute. Now, you know that executive order is considered the salvation for the United States of America. Your president, President Obama, Barack Obama, signed one on March the 16th, 2015, that is one of the most comprehensive government takeovers in the history of the world.
How do you say that?
Because he has signed a bill without the authorization of Congress. He signed it in secret, put it on the executive website, and said, this is the new executive bill, and it is called Executive Order 13603, 13603. And this order came directly from the president and his team, that says if we have a disturbance in America, national disturbance,
right,
whether it's considered that or not, I will sign this bill, right, and all I need is the Attorney General's support, and we're going to dissolve the government, right, nationalize the police force, the state military, and the court system, and everything is going to be managed by me, Mr. President, and the secretaries of the various agencies.
Sound like a dictator.
That's exactly what it is.
Sound
and
like
this law has already been signed by the president that's supposed to save the nation and the world, and he is doing something that is a little like the great document that Hitler had when he used his in Germany and had all those wonderful places he called concentration camps, where they were training the people and protecting the people from outside enemies.
Don't forget now, Britain did the same thing too. Britain did the same thing.
I know they did.
All right.
But we are just saying, if we are doing the same thing in America, you think someone thinking there might be an uprising coming up real soon in the next few months?
Based on gun sales, it sure seemed like it, because gun sales done skyrocketed since Obama been in office. It looked like some of those folks are going to the gun range shooting while we over there dancing and playing in our hair. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be some violence.
Well, you were getting ready to say people ought to buy them a gun, practice using it,
yes,
and be able to defend themselves,
yes,
and not when the government in a few months start telling them to turn them in and I'm going to give you $5 that they shouldn't do it.
That's foolishness. It's foolishness to turn in your gun. Keep your gun. Matter of fact, go get some more and make sure you get you some bullets and learn how to make some bullets. Now, you can't get enough guns to out-devil the devil, but you can at least get enough guns to keep the devil at bay. Right? They said one piggy had a straw house, another piggy had the wooden house, and another piggy had the brick house. Well, you need to brick up with some Glocks and brick up with some choppers and some yoppers. You need to hurry up and get your ammo up, because when that wolf come knocking at the door, it ain't gonna be a gospel song that's gonna get him away.
Wait a minute. You think that's going to happen in the next few years?
Well, I don't know. I just know this: it's better to be prepared and not need it than to need it and not have it. That's what I do know.
Well, that's exactly what the Obama administration has done. They've gotten themselves prepared. And there is a thought pattern out there by some, and I've heard it say this was done because of the great projection that the president has and some of his supporters about what's going to be happening with this election.
Right.
That there will be some major changes in the American government.
Right.
And that if a Republican wins, that he is going to be in a position where so many people will be upset and confused because a certain Democrat didn't win. Yeah. And then there will be turmoil and what we call hysteria, positions taken by people and acts that will cause the government to nationalize the resources.
Well, I do know this. I don't know if that particular scenario will lead to the Armageddon and the apocalyptic things that people have made movies about and read about in Bible and Zoroastrianism and in other books. But I do know this, that the racial barriers are changing. The color and complexion of the nation is changing. The dollar is falling and has fallen. The debt of America is growing. China owns it, and they're sending goods here that poison the people. So I do know that there are changes taking place right now. The seas are rising and going to swallow up small islands and other coastal areas. I mean, these things are taking place. So,
But David, I want to stop you and just tell you, we're going to have to continue this later on.
Yes.
But you are saying that the United States is in a position where it might be getting ready to lose some of its international dominance. Yes. You are saying that there might be an internal uprising because the enemy that we consider the Chinese and others have bought the United States. They already have their people here by the millions. And you are saying that we are nothing but another Roman Empire that's going to fall from within?
I'm saying that the United States is an extension of the Roman Empire. It is falling as we speak, not because I want it to, but because of the nature of how it does business and the times that are here. Now, you don't have to be no prophet for that. You can just check the economic statistics and the social statistics of nations, and that history is going to bear itself out.
Okay, well, you are making me think about some people that already told me that if we have some changes in America that's too great, that they're going to leave and go to Canada. I had a few that say they want to go to Africa. Yeah. And there are a few, and these are some of my good friends, talking about I'm going to go to Europe.
Yeah, you can only get so far away from certain realities.
Okay, so we know that you are going to give us some solutions in part 2. So viewers, we are going to come back next time with part 2, talk to Brother David, and we want you all to be with us, and we are going to have great news for you, and I will tell you that later on. So Brother David, I want to thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
And I hope to see you next time.
Yes, sir.
With part 2 of this show.
Thank you, sir.
And you are ready to give us all the information without any hesitation.
Ready, on the spot, just for you.
Just for me.
Yes, sir.
And the viewers of the L. Henderson Real News Show.
Thank you.
I thank you very much for coming. God damn it, let's go on and go to this meeting you got to be to at 6.